Yeah, welcome to Humanize IT as always. And today we have Dave. Is it Make or Mike?
You got it, Make. Yeah, that's
Make.
it.
I got it. I got it. Nebraska, we make up our own words here. So, he's one of the contestants in Pitch It this year, and I'm continuing on my series here of bringing in some of the Pitch It contestants because, as everybody knows, I was a finalist back in 2022, and I really like supporting what's going on there. And Dave, tell me a little about what DefenseX is, how Pitch is going for you, and then we're going to get on with the topic of how to sell without selling.
Yes, absolutely. So, DefenseX is a DNS-based solution with some great secret sauce, file credential protection, and then web browsing. Plus, I mean, there's just a ton of features built in, but it really allows the MSP to provide a very flexible way of protecting how people browse the internet on a day-to-day basis, meaning keeping them safe from going to the wrong places, keeping them safe by putting credentials in, and keeping them safe by not downloading bad files or drive-by downloads. So really locking down that browser level, which is essentially where 80% of these attacks are coming from today.
Yeah, and I think I met you guys at a conference. I'm trying to think of which conference it was. I think it was one of the IT nations.
Was it secure? It was in Vegas. I know for sure it was Vegas.
Oh, in that case, it would have been Ride a Boom. Were you guys at Ride a Boom this year?
That's what it was.
I loved Ride a Boom. I'm looking at the prospectus for next year,
Yeah.
and I'm fully planning on being back. We just integrated with Tim Golden, who was a Pitch It contestant last year, I believe.
He was in my
And yeah, and we did so now we'd have a compliance plugin for our tool. So like, man, that's gonna kill it at Ride a Boom. We just weren't able to get it in before this year. We still killed it at Ride a Boom. So, anyways, my plug for that conference for all you MSPs listening, it is a great event, even though it's in Vegas.
It is. It is. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of Vegas shows because it's just so vast and very hard to find people. But yes, a very good event for sure.
Yeah, I have my bar. I'll be at one of two bars after. As let people know, like, this is where you'll find me tomorrow.
That's where
the people are wandering around and like Adam Walter with the giant unicorn shirt.
That's right.
Sitting down here and buying drinks, so you don't have to worry about wandering around trying to find where everybody is. Just look for the giant with the unicorn shirt.
I wear your shirt at all the parties, by the way, here. So,
oh man,
I love it.
I get reports from people every once in a while. There's a unicorn shirt sighting in the wild. And they'll send me screenshots of it. And yes, Neil, I'm talking about you this week. You sent me it this week, but I get them every once in a while. I love hearing about it.
Yeah, it's a great shirt.
So today we're talking about something I actually learned about when I first got into starting my business, which is sell without selling. And the reason why you keyed off on that is a great topic. And the reason is because so many people force it. We're engineers. We got to follow a script, right? I need to go down this checklist. I need to talk about these 16 things, and there's no conversation that happens.
Correct.
And I learned that was one of my mentors said, you are actually a really good salesperson. And I'm like, I am not a salesperson. I am an engineer. I am a security officer. I have my CISSP. I am not a salesperson. They're like, you're really good at it though. And so, they walked me through the idea of sell without selling, how engaging you are with a person drives something called client-led sales. I don't know what that's called. But anyways, tell us a little bit more about this concept other than Adam just rambling on here.
Yeah, no, actually, you really just hit the nail on the head. It's not about selling what you have. It's about relationship building. It's about having the conversation. I mean, I don't think anyone in today's day and age, we always kind of refer back to the good old car salesman approach, I guess, if you will. And I think everybody sees that coming now, and nobody really likes it. And
here comes the pitch.
Yeah, here comes the pitch. And you really just need to gather and inform people of what you're doing more than you are selling something to them. So if I use DefenseX as a great example, and I think most of this comes, to going to an MSP as well, who's trying to grow their business. Maybe they've just started an MSP. Everybody's under the pressure of, I need sales because that's where the revenue is going to come from. So I think you have to relax, and it'll always come naturally if you don't push too hard.
Yeah.
It's of throwing out everything you do and trying to just, if you want to call it jamming it down somebody's throat, that gets very overwhelming and people really just want to turn you off, right? They just
Yeah.
like, I don't want to hang out with that guy. Just that's all he talks about is his company and how he can make me money and so on and so forth. So yeah, it's you got to go after those relationships. You got to have those conversations. And let's be honest, nobody closes a deal or a sale in the first meeting.
If you do, it's like a hole in one, right?
They,
Every once in a while, I say nailed it, and you'll see ding, new sale come in, and that is not usual. That is a rare item.
correct,
And usually that person came in, they were inbound, they were already prepared to buy. You just sold them on it.
correct.
But usually it's the relationship. And I am terrible at something, and it's the sell without selling, right? And what needs to happen is I need to follow up and continue the relationship.
Yeah.
So that the person I sold to by accident is now able to see that I still care and I still want to be part of their career and I still want to be part of this process. But I'm really bad at like, okay, I sold, I move on.
Right.
And that's part of my ADHD. I really can't help you there. And so but I haven't
ADHD today, by the way.
I've got a little calendar entries now that remind me like, hey, don't forget to reach out to Brian. Don't forget to reach out to Dave. And like, oh yeah, Dave. And then like I'm moving so fast. I'm managing so many relationships
Yeah.
that I don't want people to feel like I forgot about them.
Yeah, great.
And building that relationship also helps down the road. So when my sales team talks about, hey, who can we talk about with this new beta coming out? How can we get them into a new process? And I can be like, well, let me talk to Dave. Let me see what he's talking about. He was really excited about being able to present projects to clients. And with that, I can tell them, hey, talk to Dave about projects because that's what he was really struggling with his MSP. And you can help him move forward if you go to that direction. And maybe I'll hit it up too. Like, hey, Dave, it's been a while since we talked. We came up with a new feature last month in case you're interested. And I got that because we have a pre-existing relationship where you said, I'm really struggling with project management, Adam. I really don't know how to deal with this. And I'd be like, hey, let me tweak that. Let me talk about that a little bit in the future. So when I come with a new product, I'll let you know. And that's that relationship building. I didn't sell them. I heard what their struggle was. And I said, hey, I got something for that. Or we're thinking about developing something in Q3. Let me get back to you. Then when my salesperson comes in and says, what do we need to talk to this person about? Oh, yeah. Talk to them about this.
Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't sell that. I just heard what they said and I managed a relationship.
Well, and that's part of selling without selling is being a good listener as well, right? I mean, you're having that conversation with somebody and you're probing, right? You're just sending out some questions and it's just a conversation that it's supposed to be natural. It's not supposed to be forced. It's not like you're reading off a cue card of the 10 questions that you want to ask somebody. It's just roll with the conversation. And maybe sometimes you only get to 2 of your questions and you might walk away from that conversation and go, damn it, I didn't get to everything I wanted to talk to that guy about or learn about him. But that's the beginning of the relationship, right? You can't force, you don't get married after a day after you meet a woman or a person, right? It just doesn't happen. So you have to go through that process of getting to know the individual. They have to feel comfortable with you as well. So it's the first time you've met. You can't expect somebody to just jump on board after the first day you've met. So there is a process. And I think they talk about something like 12 or 13 touch points. I don't really listen to that because I think it's all over the place of how many touch points you need with an individual before you are engaged in maybe a conversation about buying or selling or whatever the case may be. It can vary too. It can vary on your product because if you have a very niche-like product or a very commoditized product, that those touch points can be a lot less.
Yeah.
So, but I think it's all wrapped in one thing. It's the relationship you build with the individual. People buy from people. That's been a saying for forever. And I think when you you really see that when somebody's in an organization and maybe moves to a similar organization, that those clients would love to follow that individual rather than keep their business at the current company, because they bought from that person, not necessarily from the company.
Yeah, and that relationship is important. You've got and that's what it's with MSPs as well. Your clients have several MSPs to choose from. They have trunk slammers to choose from who will like low bid everything. You've got high end MSPs that are going to charge them $1 million, which maybe they're worth it. Why should they choose you? Like, I saw it on a Reddit thread not too long ago. Like, well, I'm really good at what we do. We put a lot of money into marketing about how we're the best. And it's like, yeah, but what do you bring to the table? Like, why should they pick you? Why do they care? Imagine you're sitting at a bar, right? And you got all these. You're single. Go back in time here, and you're looking to date somebody. Now you could look around for the hottest guy, girl in the room, or are you like me, where you value a relationship? Like, I want somebody I can sit down and drink a beer and have a conversation. And so it's going to take some time. I'm gonna kind of go around the room. If you see me work a conference, I do that. I bounce around. I try to make sure that there's no one sitting by themselves, that they're feeling included. I'm a flower picker, right? I want people to feel included. And eventually I'll get to know people and I'll ask like, hey, what do you care about? What can we do for you? How can we help you? And I'll try to ask their stories. Tell me your story. And that's how I manage a relationship. But if you're sitting at this in front of this client and you're not treating them like this, at least with the same kind of respect you would give a date, like, hey, let me ask about you. Let me see what you're doing. Let me learn about you. And are we a good fit? How do I fit into your life? How do I fit into your business?
Correct.
He's going to say, hey, I've got $50 and a 6-pack of beer over here. You want to come sit? Well, okay, that might get me, but it's not going to get everybody.
Right. Right.
You know?
Well, it's know your audience too, right? That's the other side of it, is know who you're talking about or to. And if you haven't learned anything about the individual, you don't know really how to talk to that individual. So you could come up with the wrong approach of how you want to, slide in or talk about your product. If you don't know how the individual is going to react or what their comfort level is, that's going to hurt you. And it comes time to really talk about selling or really actually selling.
Yeah, I think what helped me, and I this is where I was told I was really good at sales, was I started talking to schools. People have heard me tell the story 100 times. If you're an avid listener to our podcast, but I walked into these schools that were break fix, $1,500 a month, and I simply had a conversation with them saying, okay, you brought me in here. Why are you frustrated? Or what's going on? And they gave me complaints about how the printers are never working. They constantly have to fix them, and the internet's always going down. They just doubled their speed from 10 to 20 megs for 300, 200 users. And like, there's all these things like red flags are going off in my head. I'm still shutting up, and that's hard for Adam to do. So I'm listening to them. And so let's have some more conversations. As I'm digging into conversations, I'm finding out more and more. I said, well, let me do a gap analysis and just see what's going on. And so I do a gap analysis and I find all sorts of things that are going on. And I say, you know what? I don't actually do any troubleshooting. Let's start bidding this out to a MSP that can come in here and treat you guys right. And suddenly we are getting meetings with these random people throughout the school. And like, I'm meeting with teachers, I'm meeting with administrative assistants, I'm doing all these key stakeholder meetings, and I've got this big picture. And I finally say, okay, here's what we can do to get you into a place that's going to work. It's going to cost you about $6,000 a month, but here's what you're going to get out of this. And I've got 3 vendors willing to help you out. And if we can get this going, you will no longer have problems with your internet. You can now test easily. Your printer problems are going to go away. And by the way, when I was talking to all your stakeholders, I found out that the principal is really tired of updating 40 iPads every week. He's got other things he needs to do. That's going to go away. And as a bonus, you guys have been wanting to get to a Chromebook program forever. Now we can get one there. I did that by simply listening to the client about their conversation. Now, this is somebody who MSP's been working with for over a decade and did not know any of these things. Within 3 months, we had them moved up to a 9,000 MRR contract, and we had them appropriately matched up to an MSP who cared about the same things they did and was able to deliver to them everything they needed. And so they were able to expand their school to include more students because now the administration and the teachers had more time and could handle more students. All because I listened.
Right.
Now, if I was an MSP, I'd be like, sweet, $10,000 a month. This is fantastic. I mean, I didn't even get a thank you card from that MSP. You know?
No.
And so that is selling without selling. I simply was curious.
Yeah, and I got another great story that can kind of really follow that up. And this is a story of being at an event where, I was just so busy at the booth, myself and my sales engineer, and the booth time ended. It was a small show, and I saw everybody. I'm like, hey, what are you doing tonight? Oh, I'm taking some people to dinner. I'm taking some people to dinner. I'm taking some people to dinner. I'm like, oh, crap. We're going to be the only two dudes sitting at the bar with no dinner plans. Like, I don't want to be the one sitting there when everybody comes back and said, what do you do? I'm sitting here for 3 hours. And so I tasked my SE. I said, go over there, find 3 to 5 MSPs that just want to go to dinner. He goes, where we're going to go? We're going to go next door to the steak joint. Let's just do this. Just go over there. Let's go. We'll just walk over. He comes back. He goes, I got 3 MSPs that are willing to go to dinner with us. I said, perfect. Go get them. Let's go. We're going to walk next door. We walked next door. We didn't have a reservation. Got into this place, sat down, and we had this great, fantastic dinner. And at the end of it, it was like, great hanging out with you. Let's go back to the hotel, blah, blah, blah. End of story. The next day, the show's over, flying out the following day, and I'm sitting there with a bunch of people, and I see one of the guys sitting at the bar by himself, and we're at a table of like 6 people. And I wave him over. I say, hey, come on over, come hang out with us. And he sits down and chit-chatting for a bit. He goes, you know something, I have to give you a lot of credit for yesterday. And I'm like, what do you mean credit? I go, because I bought dinner? And he's like, no, because me and the other 2 MSPs that were sitting at the table, we did dinner with you, but we were like, when is the pitch going to happen? It's going to happen. The pitch is coming. And they couldn't figure out, is it going to be after dinner? Is it going to be during dessert? When's it coming? And literally we just hung out and talked about whatever and actually never even talked about work. And we ended it like that. And there was no game plan. There was no follow-up. There was nothing. So he says, I got to give you a lot of credit that you took us out and we actually just hung out. He goes, you're getting a lot of good push from us, even though we're not ready for your product, which I still don't know what you do, but you're getting check marks.
Yep.
Fast forward, I think about a year, maybe 8 months later, I see him another show. He comes up, he goes, tell me what you do now. Tell him what I do. 3 months later, another show, he's like, comes up, he goes, I'm ready to try your product out. And one of the other guys is going to do the same thing. I talked to him. So out of the 3 people that were at that dinner table, which was just over a year ago, one is now officially a customer, and the other one will be probably shortly a client of ours as well, using our product.
Yeah.
So capsulating everything we just talked about, capsulating what you just said about going to a school and just listening to people, that's how you sell without selling. I think that's the summary of it all, is like, don't think you need to be talking business. Don't think you need to always be selling something. A lot of the time, it's either just hanging out, networking, and listening.
Yeah.
And those are the three perfect check marks that everybody's got to take with them every time they're sitting, wherever they are, even if it's in front of a customer that you've booked time with, that they're expecting you to sell. Don't just jump into it. Take some time to learn what these people are all about and what they do and what their fun things are,
Yeah.
That's key.
That relatability is king, right? And we'll do that all the time. And so I've been at a nice dinner, And finally, one of the people at the dinner goes, okay, what's the pitch? Like, well, do you guys want me to do a pitch? I wasn't planning on one. And they're like, yeah, we're here. We'll listen to your pitch. So I do a little, I'm a king of a pitch on demand.
On demand, yeah.
You give me, I'll be fine on the stage. I'm the guy where if at a conference, they have a speaker who doesn't show up, right? Just go find Adam. What's my time frame? 20 minutes. How much time do I have to prep? You got 5 minutes here. I'm like, I got this.
Yeah.
No. Like, what topic do you want?
Yeah, right.
I just want people to know that there are still vendors out there and people out there who genuinely care about whether an MSP succeeds.
Yeah.
Whether or not you buy my product is yes, I want to make money. Don't get me wrong. I will sell to you all day if you want me to. But more importantly, I really want to change this narrative in the MSP world to how do I get MSPs to know that they're cared for? That this isn't somebody who's just going to pitch them a sales tool.
Right.
Who's actually going to say, hey, look, I'm here to, I remember being in the trenches. I was an engineer for 17 years. I did some hardcore stuff. I warmed my hands on the back of the server racks. I was the guy they called at 3 a.m. when no one knew what to do. That was me. And man, I burned out of that field hard.
Right. Yeah.
And so the idea is like, now I feel for that person across the table from me, and I just want to know, where are they? What are they doing? Like, tell me about yourself. And if there's something where I can help make your life easier, I'm going to help you do that.
Yeah.
And so that's my sales pitch, is that I'm going to help you and I'm going to relate to you. If anything else, just having that one person you can sit down and who gets IT leadership, who gets the struggle of wrangling engineers and tier ones who just don't get it, and tier threes who think they get it more than they actually do. Like, I'm here for you. Like, grab a pint, find me at the bar, and say, dude, I've got this employee, and I will sit, I will listen, and I'll interject because I interrupt everybody. And we're gonna have a great conversation. I'm not gonna pitch you my product.
Yeah.
Unless you ask. If you ask, I'll say, well, if you really want me to, I'll give you a pitch. I'll do like a 90-second pitch, and then I'll just walk into the conversation. But yeah, that's selling without selling. You can hear Dave talk about it, and I talk about, what were the 3 things you said? Can you repeat those 3 things you said? Because we need to wrap up here.
Networking, listen, and what was my third one?
Was it engage or be genuine? I'll go back and look.
Genuine. Actually, be genuine's a great one to add in there. We could make it 4 if we could remember that third one. But yeah, I like that one because I think the red light goes off if there's certain signals. I think when you're talking to a vendor, there's either it sounds desperate, or all they want to do is get my business. So why? Question mark, why? And I think this bleeds into the next conversation we maybe can have in the later date is how to choose a vendor.
Yep.
So yeah, I think that's we've summed it up really well, I think.
Yeah, and our next podcast here is going to be on networking at an event, how to effectively do that in a meaningful way. So those of you who actually go to events, so I saw a Reddit thread here just recently where an MSP was asking, how do you network at these events? I'm paying $2,000 for a table, blah, blah, blah. And I just popped in, here's my booth materials, and be a red picket fence in a field of white picket fences. It's a call out to my wife, who we were at a conference, and somebody called us out on that because we stood out. Thanks for coming on, Dave, and we're going to see you next week to talk about networking at an event and how that can help your MSP.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it.
Thank you.